Good afternoon. Firstly, I want to thank you, the European Mortgage Federation and the European Covered Bond Council, for inviting me to speak at this academy. The purpose of my presentation is to give you an overview on recent development in the European mortgage market, and to try to give you some indication also on perspectives. So let's start. The development in the European mortgage market are strictly linked to monetary policy. And so we start with the trend in interest rates. The ECB recently highlighted the importance of the housing market as a monetary policy channel. So we see here the trend in the borrowing cost to buy a home. We know the sharp increase in interest rates as a consequence of monetary tightening, and more recently a decrease in interest rates following the monetary easing stance. Overall, in the euro area, the cost of borrowing for house purchases decreased by 70 basis points, starting from the peak it reached at the end of 2023, at the end of the monetary policy tightening phase. And up to February, the last figure available from the ECB, it reached overall in the euro area 3.3%. But the intensity of the decrease is different among euro area countries, and this depends on the level the rates reached at their peak following monetary tightening. And also it depends, this is strictly linked to the composition of mortgages, and we will have some figures in a few slides. I mean about the composition of mortgages between fixed rate and floating rates. But this decrease in interest rates and coupled with an improving of perspective regarding the real estate, residential real estate market are driving an increase in mortgage demand. Here you have the chart on the results on the more recent bank lending survey, the history of the results of the bank lending survey for the euro area. The black line is the synthetic figure which show the increase, a consistent increase in demand in the last 3 quarters, starting from the second quarter last year. The demand from mortgages for mortgages from households starting increasing, and this is consistent with the decrease in interest rates, the orange part of the column, and as I mentioned before, a slight improvement in perspective regarding the real estate market. The significant fact is that the increase in demand is now at a high in 10 years, so it's strong. It is strong, and this increase in demand is coupled with a slight easing stance of supply by banks. This increase in demand is driving, in turn, an increase in new mortgage granted across all major euro area countries. Overall, in the euro area, the recovery of new mortgage granted started in the second quarter last year, a slight recovery, which gained strength in the second half last year to plus 31% in the last quarter last year and plus 42% in the first 2 months this year. So a strong recovery which is widespread among countries. You see the green and orange color in this slide. In each country, in the fourth quarter last year and in the first 2 months this year, the increase is consistent across countries and is significant. As I mentioned before, 31% in the euro area, 42% in the first month this year. In turn, this increase in new mortgage granted is driving a recovery in house prices. House prices reached a peak following the long phases of very, very low interest rates. House prices reached the peak in 2022, then the trend so they reached the peak, especially in some countries, not overall, but you see, for example, in the Netherlands, in Luxembourg, in Germany. Then there was a downturn due to monetary policy tightening, and more recently a recovery. Also in Germany, in the last quarter last year, there was a recovery in prices, in house prices, in Luxembourg as well, and the recovery started before in the Netherlands. Overall, in the European Union, house prices increased by 4.9% in the last quarter last year. And the same as before, the picture of all European Union countries. You see the green column show the increase of house prices in the last quarter last year, and this increase is widely spread with very few exceptions, such as France and Finland. But you see that also Luxembourg, as I mentioned before, and Austria, Germany started the recovery at the end of last year. So the market is improving, and expectations of European consumers, according to the ECB Consumer Expectation Survey, they are confident. They expect that this increase in house prices will continue in the 12 months ahead. So this survey was completed in February. So they expect that for 1 year ahead, that the trend in the increase in house prices will continue. This service is important because the ECB, as I mentioned before, is monitoring the development of the the housing market, because the ECB acknowledged the importance of the housing market as a monetary policy channel. So every month they undertook this survey, and they surveyed 20,000 consumers across 11 countries in the euro area. Another important factor, another important indicator of the state of the mortgage market is asset quality. Asset quality is under control, and we didn't see particular signs of deterioration despite the increase in interest rates we experienced following the monetary policy tightening. Overall, in the European Union, the NPL ratio for household mortgages, gross of provisions, was stable at the end of last year at a very, very low level of 1.5%, the same level as 12 months before. The only sign of deterioration among the major European Union countries is the one from Germany, where the NPL ratio for mortgages increased to 0.9% from 0.7% at the end of 2023, but this level remains very low and below the European Union average. So no signs of particular deterioration, and the same as before, the breakdown of the picture of this situation across all European Union countries. You see that the NPL ratio went down in almost every country, except very few exceptions, which are Germany, as I mentioned before, the Netherlands, and the Luxembourg, but was very, very few cases. So overall, the quality of mortgages is very strong, and is strong across countries. And this is a good signal, of course, also for the perspectives of the market. Another indicator of a very important indicator of the housing of the mortgage market is the ratio of variable rate mortgages over total mortgages. This is measured in terms of new flows. These are figures from the ECB, and this ratio is a sort of structural indicator, because there are markets, there are countries where historically fixed rate mortgages prevail over floating rate mortgages, such as, for example, France, also Germany, Belgium, and countries where this ratio of variable rate mortgages over total mortgages went down, such as Italy, for example. Italy used to be a market of floating rate mortgages, and now is a market for fixed rate mortgages. On the other side, we have in the Baltic region, overall in these countries, floating rate mortgages prevail over fixed rate mortgages. But in general, the trend is a decrease of this ratio, and this is a key key indicator also for asset quality, because the reduction in the variable rate mortgages means that households are less, the exposures of households to debt servicing cost in case of an increase in interest rates becomes lower. So in Italy, for example, the overall stock of mortgages now is 50% at fixed rate. In the past, it was the opposite. So the market has become stronger in these terms. And my last two slides regards perspective. As I mentioned before, the mortgage market is strictly linked to monetary policy. So what we expect regard ECB monetary policy. So following the cut in policy rates in the 17th of April, we expect a further cut to 2% in the deposit facility rate, and this cut is consistent with the current macroeconomic scenario, but the expectation of the market has been strongly influenced by development regarding tariffs from the US administration. So the change in the economic environment is such that the market now expect two more cuts in ECB rates in the second half of this year, and we think that this is the probability of this development has increased. So the end point of this phase now is not more 2%. We expect in June, but is in the range of 1.5% to 1.75%. So overall, the monetary policy is to be considered supportive for the mortgage market this year, and also for the first part of the following year. Here you have the expectation of consumers according to the survey I mentioned before, the consumer expectation survey from the ECB. So consumer expect that interest rates, mortgage interest rates, will go down, will continue to go down in the following 12 months. And they also expect that credit access conditions will remain stable. So this means that starting from an easing stance of supply side, according to the bank lending survey in the first quarter this year, stability means slight easing or a neutral stance of the supply side, bank supply of mortgages. So overall, summing up, The situation of the market is improving. The mortgages are recovering, and as regards expectations, a positive factor is the expected further reduction in policy rates by the ECB. The good situation of asset quality, because if we expect a reduction in interest rates, there are no reasons to expect a deterioration in asset quality. We didn't have a deterioration in the tightening phase, so this is why we expect asset quality under control, and expectation from consumers are for a reduction in interest rates and the stability of credit access condition. On the other side, of course, there are risks, downside risks overall for the economic development. We do not expect a recession for the moment, neither in the US, but we revised downward our forecasts in terms of GDP, of course. And another key point, risk regards uncertainty. You know that the level of uncertainty at this moment is very, very high. It is measured by several indicators developed recently, and it reached a peak which is as high as it was during the pandemic. However, it is not clear which effect uncertainty has in the real estate, in the mortgage market, because generally speaking, uncertainty has the effect to postpone fixed investment from companies, and on the other side has the effect to drive a flight to quality in financial investment and a search for safe assets. So if we consider a residential real estate asset a safe asset, so uncertainty could be a supportive factor. But we don't know, and we have to monitor development in this month's development in the mortgage market to understand the effect of this very, very high uncertainty on the current development in the mortgage market. So overall, good perspective and some risks. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.